You gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, is it not?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. You look good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Wednesday in the Quad Cities, Wednesday, June 10th. Thank you guys for joining us wherever you are and however you're watching the show. We greatly appreciate it. Hump Day, halfway through the work week. Time is flying by as always. June already, June 10th. We're nearing the midway point of June here real soon. So time flies when you're having fun. Thank you guys for joining us. If you're around the state of Iowa and Illinois today, be safe today, tomorrow. Sounds like some nasty storms. Those kind of things coming our way. So we don't have to worry about that here. We'll talk sports and we got a lot for you once again on a Wednesday edition of OTA. If you're watching us live on YouTube, we appreciate that. Thank you for doing that. If you have subscribed, thank you. If you have not subscribed, please do so ASAP. That helps us out a ton. Also, we are streaming, or I should say we are live on X. X has been very, very good to us as well. So whether you're watching on YouTube, watching on X, make sure you're interactive with us. There's always a fun chat going on. Our everydayers are on the YouTube chat. And then also on social media as well. Make sure on X and Instagram, you're being interactive with us as well. We're also streaming live the first hour of the show on the WHO streaming app. For our great viewers in Central Iowa, we appreciate that. You'll love our first segment. A lot of Iowa athletics to get to in segment number 1 of the show coming up in just a little bit. But thank you guys for joining us here for the first hour of the show. If you like the first hour and you want to keep watching the second hour, check out the YouTube page if you're watching in Central Iowa on the WHO streaming app as well. Also, X at Matt Randazzo is where you can check out the rest of the show, if you will. And also, as I mentioned, we're on Instagram. I'm not a huge Instagram guy. I wasn't. Kind of rededicated myself over the weekend, had my son. I was officially to the point where I was having my high school son kind of explain things to me and show me some things. I've been on Instagram for a while, but don't use it a ton. That changed this weekend. So at Matt Randazzo _OTA, or look up Matt Randazzo. We'll do a bunch of stuff on Instagram now as well. So I'm excited about that. And of course, as always, you can listen to the show on all the podcasting platforms as well. Spotify, Apple, Podbean, you name it, wherever you get your podcasts, you can listen to the show each and every day as well. And we appreciate the hundreds of people that do that every single day. That is an awesome thing. So we thank you for that. This week's been a busy week. Monday, Jay Kidwell was on the show talking about 25 years of covering sports in the Quad Cities. Went down memory lane with him. Also on Monday, the Bettendorf girls soccer team was on the show, and we were good luck, as we always are. They won yesterday 4-2 over Waukee, so they're in the state semifinals. Great interview with the girls on Monday, and I said to 3 of them, I said, hey, when you win a state championship on Saturday, next Monday, you guys got to come on and they say they sing a lot on the bus. They wouldn't sing for me on the show on Monday, but they promised the state championship. If they get one, they'll do that on Monday. So we're rooting for the Bulldogs this weekend, regardless of singing or not singing. Also, North Scott was on the show on Tuesday. They play on Thursday as well in the state semifinals, so go check out Tuesday's show as well. Also on yesterday's show, Tyler Tashman joined us to talk about the Carver renovations and a whole bunch of stuff when it comes to Iowa athletics. And John Marks was on the show yesterday as well. Roger Craig Stadium is a thing here in the Quad Cities, officially approved on Monday evening. So we talked more about Roger Craig Stadium and also looked at what other stadiums around our area would you want to name. I don't want to say rename because there's some that are already named and rightfully so, but that got a nice discussion started, if you will. So that was earlier in the week. We got a big show for you coming up today. In a matter of moments, we'll look at the new floor at Carver Hawkeye Arena and talk about the Iowa women's basketball schedule, some other news and notes from Iowa women's basketball, and also Iowa baseball as well. They added someone, they've kept someone. A lot of things going on. So Kyle Huesmann will join us coming up from the Hawkeye Report in just a matter of moments. Also, really excited about my second guest coming up later on in hour number 1 of the show. Rock Falls standout KJ Conklin. I don't know if the Quad Cities knows enough about KJ. Graduated from Rock Falls in 2012. Got into coach, went to Illinois State, was a student manager coach there. Got into coaching. Very big influences here in this area include Tom Sigel and Jordan Delp and Joe Bear, former Assumption head coach. And he's worked his way up the rankings and the ladder, if you will. And COVID was COVID for everybody, but he was at University of Texas for a few years. Last year, he was a assistant coach for the Austin Spurs in the G League. And now he's officially taken a job at Duke University on John Shire's staff. He's an assistant coach at Duke. We're going to talk to him, talk about his journey. It's an amazing journey. What made him want to be a coach, his influences. And he grew up a Duke fan. So it's a really cool story for a Rock Falls young man that's doing big things. And we talk about the professional athletes from our area that go and do great things. Coaching is the same thing, and KJ is doing great stuff. So KJ Conklin coming up. If you're a Quad City basketball fan, if you're a basketball fan, college basketball fan in general, it's a must listen. We chatted yesterday, so that interview coming up later on in hour number 1 of the show. And also it's Wednesday. Wednesdays mean your FCA story of the week. Dan Pearson will be along with an inspirational, great story about a young man battling cancer down in the Central Illinois area. That and much more here on OTA. Also coming up this week, got the week kind of scheduled out with some main guests tomorrow. Really excited to get Scott Docterman on the show. He's been really busy, and usually he even mentioned as we were texting back and forth, June's usually pretty chill, but obviously with the Brendan Sorsby stuff, I don't know if there's a college football beat writer in the country that's more on top of that thing than Scott Docterman. So to get him on the show tomorrow, always love it when Doc comes on the show. It's always fun, informative, entertaining, but really good timing right now because that's going on and much more. So Scott Docterman on the show tomorrow and much more tomorrow. On Friday, Alex Tanney, his camp in Monmouth is officially set. We'll talk to him about his camp. He is the offensive passing coordinator for the Indianapolis Colts. Talk about another local product making it on the big stage. And Luke Johnson was on the show earlier this summer, I guess spring, if you will. He's with the Washington Commanders. So we got some athletes in the area. We also got some coaches as well. So Alex Tanney on Friday's show. That is something I'm looking forward to as well. We talked about the soccer. Congrats to Bettendorf 4-2 victory. The OTA mojo continues. North Scott also won on Monday. They play on Thursday as well. So we wish them both the best of luck. Hopefully everybody's safe in Des Moines or Ames, I think it is this year. And with the weather and the heat and those type of things. I went for a run yesterday right before my son's baseball game. So probably 5:15. And I thought it's an evening run. I know it was hot during the day, but we'll be okay. It was awful. I mean, I don't go fast anymore. I never walk. If I walk, I stop. And I walked I tried to get 3 miles in, didn't happen. Walked the last little part of it because it was hot. So be safe out there. If you're out there working out, those kind of things. Kids that are playing sports, be safe. It's summertime. We know how to handle it. Hydrate. Those are the simple things that we can do. So NBA Finals tonight, games number 4, Spurs and Knicks. It's been a fun series so far. That comes your way around 7:30 tonight on NBC. And then a little Major League Baseball. How about the White Sox? Braden Montgomery comes up, top prospect of the Sox, gets his first start, his first Major League hit, his first home run, and he walks things off with a victory over the Braves. The White Sox are good. That's right. For the Greg Armstrongs and Steve Campbells and Dustin Thors and everyone else that are listening that are White Sox fans, I'm missing some. The White Sox are good. I mean, they're a good baseball team. Are they the best team in the league or going to win a division? I don't know. Probably not. But a good baseball team, and especially from where they've been the last 2 or 3 seasons. It's kind of fun to see on the south side of Chicago. So anyways, let's get to our first guest. And before we do, let's take a look, because yesterday the University of Iowa, a lot of announcements coming from Iowa. The court renovations, or the stadium renovations, I should say, probably arena, Carver Hawkeye Arena renovations announced earlier in the week. And then everyone knew that they had purchased the floor that they won the Sweet 16 game against Nebraska on. And they were going to put that at Carver Hawkeye. The university releasing this video yesterday, I thought it was pretty cool. That video courtesy of the University of Iowa and MediaCom. Joining us now to talk about, I guess, a new look at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Not a drastic change, but that and a bunch of things when it comes to the University of Iowa. Kyle Huesmann from the Hawkeye Report joining us right now on Off Day with Matt Randazzo. Kyle, I think the thing that was cool for me about that was that I didn't really realize how they did everything. I thought it was more interesting than it was like shocking a reveal at the end. Your thoughts on a new look at Carver, I guess?
Yeah, I think, first off, you're right. The process is pretty extensive to take out the old court, which I'm curious what they'll do with the old court, if they'll try to auction off some of that or if they'll stow it away or something like that. Maybe they'll take it into the practice gym and have it as the new practice court or something like that. I don't know. But, the process is obviously very extensive. And I was curious how they would do it because it being an NCAA tournament court, obviously it looks nothing like what Iowa wants it to look like. So certainly stripping it all down and then repainting and stuff like that. No, it's not super different. But I really like the interlocking eyes on the sidelines. That's kind of what they did with Ohio State in 2017, those football uniforms. That's actually the only other time that I can think of them using something like that. I think that's a really cool touch. But overall, obviously the court is very similar to what it's been the last few years. And I think that's fine. I think there were a lot of people that were expecting something crazy. I know some people wanted different logos on the court, things like that. I'd actually be curious to talk to whoever made those type of decisions. I wonder if they're even allowed to. I mean, maybe not allowed, but obviously they have like a brand guide that has logos and stuff like that are part of their current era of Iowa sports, I guess, if you want to call it. And if they didn't want to stray away from logos that aren't technically in there anymore, because I know people are talking about the old, whatever it's the flying Herky logo or the old retro Herky logo. If that's not in the current brand guide, I wouldn't think they would want to use that, because it is an Iowa logo, but it's not technically the current Iowa logo. So I think that's probably why they didn't do something like that. But I don't think there's any issues with the court. I think it's a good looking court. The black and gold looks good. And I don't know why you would change it up. I think that the change up is that they have a court that was played on for one of the biggest moments in quite a long time for Iowa basketball. And I think that's really the coolest part about it. Absolutely.
Kyle, I know a lot of Illini fans will remind me that it's also the court that Iowa lost to Illinois on, which is annoying for as long as the court is there. Was it a missed opportunity? You kind of mentioned it. There were a portion of the fan base that really wanted to see, an old school parquet look, or you mentioned the old school flying Herky or whatever you want to call it. Was it a missed opportunity? Was it just, I think it looks great. I don't know if I would have added a few more bells and whistles, but I do like the Tiger Hawk logo. I think it looks clean and sharp. Was it a missed opportunity, or was it something that you feel like there's no reason to make a drastic change in anything at Carver?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it a missed opportunity. It's an opportunity, I guess, if they wanted it to be one. But I don't feel like they missed the opportunity to do anything. I mean, like you said, it's already a good court. It's a good logo. I don't think there's much that you needed to change with it. We don't need to have something like the Oregon basketball court that just looks insane and, it's hard to play on and stuff like that. You don't need it to be like some of these the mid majors that have like, what is it, Memphis that has like an all gray court or something with like the Memphis skyline on it. You don't need something like that. I mean, I think this is a very clean, good look. I wouldn't call it a missed opportunity. I guess, like I said, it could have been an opportunity to do something different. But like I said, I think the overall thing is the actual court and what happened on that court at the NCAA tournament. Yeah, obviously the Illinois part is in there, but I mean, I think a lot of people really enjoy the fact that they beat Nebraska rather than had been literally anybody, like any other team out of conference, whatever, maybe Iowa State, but like outside of that, I mean, if it was anyone else, it'd still be a big deal, obviously, to make the Elite Eight, but I think it being over Nebraska makes it even more exciting. But yeah, like I said, I really like the interlocking eyes on the sidelines. I think that's really cool, and that's really all they needed to do because I think everything else has been pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree. We had Tyler Tashman on yesterday kind of talking about the Carver renovations. You spent a lot of time at Carver Hawkeye Arena over the years, and there's been great moments. When fans are there, Kyle, it can be very loud. But I don't think the renovations is just about making it louder or students. Yes, they all kind of are part of it, but Carver in general, and you've been there a bunch, it's an older arena. Logistics of things are hard when it comes to concessions and things of that nature. Your thoughts on the renovations? They go to the Board of Regents. Just a heads up, everyone. If things aren't going to get passed, they probably don't go to the Board of Regents. So it's not like, oh, we'll see what happens next. It's going to be a renovation. Your thoughts on the renovations? I don't know if we know a lot of knowledge of them yet. No renderings have come out yet. But your thoughts on what you would like to see, or just the renovations in general?
Yeah, I think the fans are certainly excited for something new with Carver, and I'm proud. Maybe on the minority. I guess I haven't really polled people about it. I like Carver the way that it is. I really do, and I get from the side of maybe some of the older population that goes to games having to walk up and down stairs, things like that. The concession stand being like if you're down in the front 15 rows, front 10 rows, yeah, it's a long way up the concession stand, things like that. But the people that want to add in suites and things like that, I get in the NIL era and stuff where you want to be able to, or donors and stuff like that, to have their own suite area. Illinois is probably a similar arena to Iowa, and they have like a mid-level suite section. And it's a nice area. I sat in one of them to do work last time I was there, so I mean it's nice. But I like, in terms of a college atmosphere, I like Carver the way that it is because there's no extra stuff where people can hang out, like the suites where you hang out and you watch half the game, you drink a couple of beers, you don't really cheer, and like those type of things. That's more of a NBA NFL type stuff where you go sit in the suite and you don't really pay attention to the game that much. I like Carver the way that it is because everybody sits in the same type of seating. It's a good shape, a good type of bowl look for getting getting loud. I've been there for wrestling. I've been there for men's basketball. I've been there for women's basketball. And the crowd is full and going. It's as loud as you're going to get at most places. I mean, for the size of the crowd that you get. So I think a lot of the things that people complain about with Carver, and it goes back to the men's stuff when Fran was at Iowa and some of the issues with crowd size, and even still last year with some of the stuff with crowd size. I think a lot of the complaining about Carver is kind of hiding the fact that people just didn't want to come to games. Like I don't think Carver not being renovated has anything to do with not coming to a game. If you wanted to come to the game, you just come to the game. Like I think that's the same thing with the students as well. Like I don't think students are sitting in their dorm room like, man, if Carver is renovated, I'd be there. Like you just go to the game if you want to go to the game. So I like Carver the way it is. I think it'd be really cool though to get some renovations. I'm sure they'll do a great job with whatever they decide to do. But yeah, I'm probably in the minority that I don't mind Carver the way that it is right now.
I would almost agree with you because it's more about people going and fans than it is the structure itself. I'll say this. I think Carver gets louder because of the bowl. Like you just mentioned, there's no two tiers. There's nowhere for the sound to go than down onto that court. So I do think there's pluses to it. And you mentioned, I think the big thing we've talked about over the years is the fan experience for students. And that's a whole different, the risers they put in this past season, good for a short-term fix, but not a long-term solution. So those things need to be addressed. And yes, there's that fan experience that I don't know if maybe we know what it is because we don't really have fan experience because, I don't know if you guys knew this, but Kyle has a throne on Media Row and they deliver him food the entire game. And no, but like I remembered it last year. Some of my kids went. I hadn't taken my kids to a game in a while, and it was like, all right, now I got to run up to the concessions and, oh, wow, it's really super busy up here and the logistics of things are a little difficult. So I can see that in a way, but I don't think you mentioned, I don't think it's going to be like, wow, Carver's renovated. Now I'm going to a game. I don't think this is a make or break for people, right. But I do think it's a nice step for the University of Iowa to continue to put money into a product that's going to be very important. I mean, you look at women's basketball, men's basketball, and wrestling all call Carver Hawkeye Arena home. That's a lot of money in college sports these days. So very important to keep it maybe as good looking as possible, if that makes sense. Kyle, the women's basketball schedule came out for the Big Ten. I think it was late last week. I remember it came out, I think, after you were on. I was like, of course, it's always the way it works. Kyle comes on the show and then the Big Ten. Right? Yeah, and maybe it was Monday. So I guess what pops out to you when you look at that Big Ten schedule, I know people automatically focus on who you play twice, who you have the home and home with. What's the first thing that stands out to you when the Iowa women's basketball schedule for the Big Ten comes out?
Yeah, the women's one is very anticlimactic compared to the men's one because the men one. Do the men have 3 double plays or 2? Is it 3?
I think it's 3. Yes.
So the women just have the 1 because they don't play 20 Big Ten games. They only play 18 Big Ten games. So they play Nebraska twice every year. That's the home and away. And then everything else just flips. So everybody that you had at home last year, you play them away, and everybody you played away is at home. So I think that's why, for the men, they did the nice preview or the nice whatever show on Big Ten Network, and here's some of the biggest matchups. Here are the double plays. They haven't played twice in like the last 5 years, that type of stuff. The women's one doesn't get a show. It just it got released on Monday, and I think that's fine because, like I said, it's very anticlimactic. You go, oh yeah, it's the same schedule as last year. You just kind of flip the locations. Now for Iowa, it is interesting though because when they did this 2 years ago when the West Coast schools came into the conference, and then kind of you're stuck in that unless they decide to change things up, which I don't know why you would do that at this point. Because you've kind of put yourself in a spot where if you change anything up somewhere along, like you go somewhere twice in 2 years in a row or something like that, or some of the rivalry stuff with the double plays are hard to break up and try to find different matchups. So I was kind of stuck in this spot where the teams it's kind of unbalanced right now at this time. Obviously, teams can change in terms of who's good, who's bad, things like that. But right now, Iowa's schedule is pretty unbalanced in terms of last year. It kind of felt like all their big games, outside of a couple, they played at UCLA, they played at USC. It felt like a lot of their big games were at home, and that was great for last season. I think that helped a lot in terms of what they were able to do in Big Ten play. But now you look at this schedule for next year, and it's like, man, that's a really tough away slate. I mean, they obviously get the double play with Nebraska, so they'll go to Lincoln. But the away slate, I mean, Illinois is an NCAA tournament team. Michigan's going to be a top 10, top 8 team in the country. You got Michigan State, who I think will take a little bit of a step back, but still at Michigan State's going to be a tough matchup. At Minnesota is going to be tough. That's a top 20 team, with some of the players that they've got back. Just came, they're coming off a Sweet 16 appearance. Got to go to Ohio State. They're always really good. You got to go to Washington, who again, probably an NCAA tournament team, maybe towards the lower half of the seeding, like that 8-9 level, something like that. They were like a fringe top 25 team last season. And then you go to Oregon, who again isn't an impressive top 25 team, but again, the team that makes the NCAA tournament. The only one in that away list out of those 9 away games that you look at and go, oh, that's a win, is Penn State. That's the only one that I would say that's pretty penciled in, maybe even almost pen for a win there. Everything else, I mean, Your next easiest away game, and again, I don't know rosters or anything like that. I haven't really dove into it because it's June. But after Penn State, the next easiest away game might be Oregon. And that's an NCAA tournament team from last year. So that's Iowa's in a spot right now where they're very unbalanced in terms of what they have, and that's just kind of how it goes. Maybe in a few years, one of those teams will fall off, and maybe there's someone from the other category. But you look at the home slate, yeah, they get Maryland at home. That'll be a good one. UCLA and USC are obviously the two big ones, but the rest you got Northwestern, Purdue, Rutgers, Wisconsin. Indiana's in there, and Indiana had a big step back last year, and I don't know that they added enough through the portal that all of a sudden they're going to be an NCAA tournament team. So those are the games that when they're on the road, you're like, yeah, it's good to go to Northwestern and Purdue and Rutgers because those are road games that you feel like you can win pretty easily. And it helps, with the net rankings because you're not playing a bad team at home. Wisconsin the same way. But then when it flips and you get all these home games, and you're like, man, there's not that many good home games in Big Ten play outside of UCLA and USC. And then you look at the road slate. And like I said, that road slate as of right now in June looks very daunting with 8 of those 9 games. You say, man, 8 of those 9 road games are going to be pretty tough. So it's just kind of how it goes. We'll see if maybe in a few years they try to switch it up at all. But the way it looks right now, just kind of how I ballpark the future of some of these programs, it's going to be a while before that flip becomes a little bit more balanced because it's pretty unbalanced right now.
Absolutely. Kyle Huesmann joining us on Off There with Matt Randazzo. One of those home games, and I think it's a program that's getting better. Coach P does a great job at Wisconsin, but there are those 2 former Hawkeyes at Wisconsin, and they come to Carver Hawkeye Arena. That had social media wondering, talking, debating, what will the homecoming be like for, I guess Addie Deal would be the main one. I don't feel like Tegan, I think with the circumstances that happened off the court, it makes sense for her to go back home to Wisconsin. But what are your thoughts? I mean, obviously Wisconsin comes to Carver, 2 former Hawkeyes on that team. Addie Deal, is she a villain? Is she a bad guy? Or is she appreciated for being here in Iowa? What will that be like, do you think?
I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. To me, still with that Iowa-Wisconsin matchup, I'm trying to find it as we talk right now, the number of wins in a row for Iowa. It's 32 in a row, I think, something like that. I still think obviously there's going to be that headline of, Teagan Mullaney and Addie Deal coming, but I still think the biggest headline going to that game is going to be Iowa's won 32 in a row against them or whatever. I think it's 32. I don't think, this is going to come off maybe wrong when I say this, I don't think either of them played a prominent enough role where they come back and it's like you're booing them, things like that. Obviously there's certain situations where if a player leaves and then they come back, like the Price Sanford, I think that's more of a situation where maybe they take that villain role, if you want to call it, like you said, because he was played a prominent role when he was at Iowa. Whereas it's a little bit different if they didn't play as much or, weren't scoring a bunch, something like that. Then they come back and say, well, it's not like they put up 30 a game for us and left. It's, whatever. So I mean, there'll be headlines from that just because it is, 2 players coming back to Iowa City. And it's funny that the flip happened where Wisconsin is coming to Iowa City. And you mentioned, players coming back to Iowa City. Callie Levine's up at Northern Iowa, and this next year will be the year where Northern Iowa comes to Iowa City. So it is kind of funny that a couple of the players that left Iowa, they're going to be on the schedule for home games next year. But I don't think there'll be anything, crowd-wise that will be noticeable with that game. I still think the bigger headline is that Iowa hasn't lost to, I think it's 2006, 2007. I think that's the last time they lost to Wisconsin. I think that's a bigger headline than anything that would come out of Addie Deal and Teagan Mullaney coming back.
Kyle, one last thing with women's basketball and a good time to tie it in. The Guy Randazzo Memorial Golf Outing is 10 days away, June 20th. We have one spot that has opened up for a team, maybe 2, but 1 for sure. And Journey Houston, not going to tee it up. She was on the show with me. I even asked her, I said, do you like golf? She's like, I hate it. I don't know why people do it. And I was like, well, I'm not going to ask her to golf then. But we do a goofy, we put a basketball hoop on a tee box, and it's our chips and salsa basketball hole. You can shoot with whoever's there. It's been Nicholas Baer in the past. It's been Dylan Sortillo and Krishan Orange and some Augie players. Journey Houston's going to be there, shooting with the golfers golfers throughout the day, handing out chips and salsa, and she says a teammate or two will probably make their way down with them. So anybody listening to this that loves Iowa women's basketball, also we have a silent auction starting real soon in the next couple days, and one of the items in that, and thank you to the Iowa women's basketball program, but the 4 tickets to any game on the Iowa schedule, 4 dry fit Iowa women's basketball t-shirts, and 4 really cool Iowa women's basketball mugs. So it's a great package. You can bid on it on the silent auction. So and if you want to come to the golf outing, Kyle Huesmann and Tom Kakert are going to be there. I mean, and Dennis, Mr. Hole in One. Is Mr. Hole in One going to be there, right? Have we confirmed that?
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
as long as Dennis is there. I'm bearing the lead, Kyle. The lead should be Dennis every year, and then that. So get out there if you want to join us. GuyRandazzoGolf.com is where you go to do that. From women's basketball to one of your other areas of expertise, baseball. There is comings and goings at the University of Iowa. We kind of talked last week about some of the players that have left, where they've resurfaced. But Iowa has added this week as well. Stein. Comes from Iowa Central College, I believe. You can tell us more on that. And then someone stayed as well. I think also the fact that people are staying too, because not everybody has left. Your thoughts on the additions and the addition, and also maybe people staying that maybe some didn't expect to stay.
Yeah, I think first off, the fact that Kyle Levo came out and made his announcement that he's staying, I think the funny part is there are still people, and I'm on the fence about it. It's funny to see people having to come out and say I'm returning for my next season, because that's where we've gotten. It's more of a football and basketball thing, but now that we've gotten to the point where you have baseball players that have to come out and say I'm staying, don't worry, like stuff like that. It's just crazy that that's where we're at with college athletics at this point. But Kyle Levo coming out and announcing that he's going to return for his redshirt sophomore season. I was always kind of the side that I thought he would return, just kind of being around him and talking to him a bit this season. Never asked him directly about anything like that, but just kind of gauging the way that he interacted with the team and just talking from it. It seemed like he was a guy that was going to stick around. And immediately to me is the guy that's going to be their Friday starter next season. And that's huge, because we talked about it right after the season. They've got some options for starting pitching next year. Brody Earlbeck, who Marty Sutherland called maybe their biggest recruiting win since Rick's time at Iowa. He obviously missed this past season with an arm injury. He should be healthy for beginning of the season. If he's not quite ready to start, he could still come out of the bullpen and potentially ramp up that way. But that's a guy that could start. And then you got Maddox Freeze back. You got Jaron Bleeker back. So they've got really good 4 guys that can start. And I think that's really, really 4 good options. I think whether you have Sunday, it could be Jaron Bleeker. You could have Maddox Freeze not in the rotation, or a Jaron Bleeker not in the rotation. And that's pretty good to have that type of option outside of the rotation. But Kyle Levo was kind of the one that you were like, hey, like, is there going to be an SEC team, an ACC team, Big 12 that might reach out and throw him some money? And it's a really interesting situation with Levo, because out of high school, played in the Milwaukee area. I can't remember off the top of my head the high school he played at. Was kind of like an 89, 90 to 92 fastball guy out of high school. Good fastball, good. I mean, obviously a guy that Iowa wanted out of high school. Otherwise, they wouldn't have picked him up. But all of a sudden, he tears his UCL his senior year of high school, gets the Tommy John surgery, rehabs it as a true freshman at Iowa. And all of a sudden, he comes out of the surgery, gets back to full health, and now he's throwing 95, 96. He touched 98 a couple times this past season. And all of a sudden, he's a guy that you're like, man, if he's throwing 95, 96 in high school, he's not coming to Iowa. Like, he's definitely not coming to Iowa. He might be going to the MLB draft. So Iowa, all of a sudden, just by the fact that Levo gets surgery and repairs some things, all of a sudden his velocity takes a jump, and all of a sudden he's a guy that Iowa probably wouldn't have gotten. So it becomes a massive steal for Iowa to get him, and now to keep him is huge. I think he's going to be the front liner for that entire pitching staff next season. So huge to get him back, and he's going to be playing in the Cape Cod League this summer, which is the famous summer league. And certainly, if he would not have made that announcement, absolutely there would have been coaches talking to him, calling him legally, whatever it is, because the Cape Cod League is where a lot of that stuff happens. A lot of people get talked to while they're there. So that was huge news to get him back. And then the news of an addition, Sawyer Stein from Iowa Central Community College. there's going to be a jump from Iowa Central to the Big Ten, certainly. But Iowa Central's a really good program. They went 53-12 this past season, made the JUCO College World Series. They have a guy, Cooper Nicholson, who played at Iowa Central, who's at North Carolina right now. He'll be playing. He's a starter for North Carolina. He'll be in the College World Series starting the end of this week. So they've produced some talent, certainly. Sawyer Stein had probably one of the better seasons that I've seen in terms of just statistics. You look at it, batted .451, .566 on base percentage, 25 doubles, 30 home runs, and 113 RBIs in 65 games. I had to text Marty Sutherland, hitting coach for Iowa yesterday, and say, hey, these numbers are right. Like, they look wrong. Like, those can't be right. And no, they're video game numbers. I was looking at it, I was like, there's something wrong here. Like, this says 65 games. Is this like his career, or am I missing something here? No, he put together just a phenomenal season for Iowa Central. So certainly those numbers get you excited. But again, there's a jump from Iowa Central to playing D1 baseball to playing in the Big Ten. So I don't want people to believe that he's going to show up to Iowa and hit 30 home runs. But certainly you have to have some sort of baseball talent to be able to have. He had 3 triples as well. So that's 58 extra base hits in 65 games. That's pretty incredible. So certainly you have to have a good bit of baseball talent to do that. A first baseman, outfielder, I think that, I haven't talked to anybody about it, but just off the top of my head, I would assume that he's probably coming in to fill that first base spot with Caleb Wolf going to graduation. Obviously, Caleb Wolf had one of the better seasons that we've seen with 89 hits. That was second most in a single season in Iowa program history. So they really needed to go get an impact bat, and it feels like, at least, we're less than 24 hours since the announcement of Stein announcing his commitment to Iowa. Feels like this is going to be a plug-and-play guy at the first base spot, which is going to be huge for them. To knock off one of the bigger needs, and now you look at, they still need second base, still need shortstop, probably need to add an outfielder, and then some pitching help as well. So again, it goes back to how many roster spots are available. What can they add in the portal? I think we're still probably going to see another portal entry or 2, I would think. Still sitting at 3 entries. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but that obviously, if there's no more portal entries, I think that limits a little bit what they can do in the portal. But certainly the addition of Sawyer Stein, we already talked about Wrigley Mathis and Reed Burkle from Kirkwood before the season ended. Iowa does a really good job of adding guys from the JUCO level, just because Iowa's not a program that's going to be able to go get, some guy from Notre Dame or, from Clemson that maybe didn't start or something like that, but had, not able to get those type of guys that have played. Like a Brennan DeRiggi from Wofford was probably a very, very unique situation where I think it was a lot of his schooling at Iowa, what Brennan wanted to do. Those guys aren't, walking in the door from the portal for Iowa very often. So they have to go through the JUCO ranks, and Kansas did a really good job of it. Kansas is a program that made a super regional and built their team off a lot of JUCO talent. So it's possible, and so far I think Iowa's done a good job. But certainly there's going to be more additions. We'll see if there's a couple more portal entries from the current roster. But I think they've done a good job with the 3 additions they've made so far.
Before I let you go, I got to ask you. Obviously, the Brendan Sorsby stuff comes out earlier this week, and the gambling stuff of the past comes up. And a good friend of mine, Andy Furman, who owns Godfathers, great sponsor of the show. Andy's an awesome guy. That's 2 days in a row that I've given Andy a name drop and love. So hopefully Andy gives me a thank you text later. But he brought up Keaton Anthony. A young man that lost a lot because of gambling, and with you being the baseball guy on the show, I know people go to the football guys and the Noah Shannons and those things, but Keaton Anthony's another guy that lost a ton because of something that nowadays wouldn't have been that big a deal. It's just crazy to think of. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I have plenty of thoughts. We could talk another 25 minutes about it. No. I mean, I was upset with the situation in the first place because I don't think Sorsby should be ever playing football again. I think that's just how it should have went.
Yep.
But because I did, because I covered that team that had, and it wasn't just Keaton Anthony. There were 4 or 5 guys. Jacob Henderson would be the other one that people knew was a prominent guy in the Iowa bullpen that year. Because I knew those guys and followed how that all played out. This seems like a complete slap in the face to those guys, just to say that they had their careers end. I mean, Keaton Anthony probably lost out on close to $1 million, if not $1 million in the draft, because he goes from being, a top 6, top 5, pick in the draft, top 6 rounds, not top 5, top 6 overall, but a guy that was going to make a bunch of money in the MLB draft, and then he doesn't get drafted at all. And he's made he's done a great job. He's up in the Phillies AAA. He's up with the Phillies AAA team right now. He's hit at every stop with the Phillies organization. So he's done a great job with the opportunity they ended up getting. But if I texted Keaton Anthony right now and said, would you like an extra $1 million? He'd be like, yeah, I would like an extra $1 million. So that's what he missed out on. But I think, it's hindsight stuff, but I think Iowa probably, because of that, lost out on winning that regional in Terre Haute.
100%.
Iowa makes the regional final, and they did it without their best player. I mean, that was still a team that had Brendan DeRiggi and Kyle Huckstorf and Seegers, and you could go on with that. That was a great baseball team. Brody Breck, Marcus Morgan. So it was already a really good team, but they played that regional without an All-American hitter, a guy that, like I said, was going to be a top 6-round pick in the draft. And Jacob Henderson, who I'd have to look, but was one of their top 3 or 4 in terms of appearances that season out of the bullpen. So they had to play a full regional without two very key guys. And had they won that regional, there's a chance that they might have hosted the Super Regional, because TCU was a 2 seed in that other regional, and they won that, and they ended up hosting Indiana State for that Super Regional. Iowa could have potentially hosted the Super Regional that year. But yeah, I get there's people online that are talking about, well, one of the Iowa and Iowa State stuff was the NCAA ruling. This is a judge ruling. Isn't there like a precedent set? Like, isn't that judge like, hey, remember like 3 years ago when all those Iowa and Iowa State guys got banned? Like, yeah, maybe I should probably stick to that thing that happened. So I thought it was ridiculous. I don't get it at all. I don't understand this whole like irreparable injury. Was that what they call it? Irreparable injury if he doesn't get to play for Texas Tech. Yeah, that's kind of what happens when you break the rules. Like, you bet on games, you bet on your own team. Like, I don't get to go. I said this on the podcast with Tom yesterday. I don't get to go outside and run somebody over with my car and be like, oh no, I can't go to jail for 20 years. Like that would be irreparable injury. Like, yes, that's what happens when you run somebody over with your car.
It's called consequences. There's consequences.
Yeah, you don't get to cheat on a test in college and get kicked out of college and go, oh well, no, you can't kick me out because then I can't get a job. Like, yeah, that's what happens when you do that. Like that's. I don't understand this at all. Like, you don't get to just say, well, I don't get to play for Texas Tech. Like, yeah, sorry. Like, don't bet on games. Like, that's that. And we talked about it. It's probably up there with one of the top rules in sports. You cannot bet on the games that you're playing in, because in terms of the sport, it's in the context of the sport itself. Betting on the game is probably worse than anything else you can do.
100%.
Because you're potentially destroying the integrity of the game. Was it Cody Campbell, the Texas Tech? Is he like their big NIL guy or whatever? He was the one talking crap on Twitter about, oh, what about all those Georgia guys that get arrested for speeding? I mean, yeah, no, it's not good, but like, if a Georgia guy drives 110 on the interstate and a 65 speed limit, I can still watch the Georgia-Auburn game on Saturday and be like, well, that speeding didn't change the integrity of the game. Yep. Like, I'm not saying he should go 100 miles per hour, but that Georgia-Auburn game on Saturday is not changed because their wide receiver drove 100 on Tuesday. Yeah, like it's just not the same. So I thought it was a terrible decision. I think it's ridiculous that he's going to get play this season. But nobody cares about my opinion. Certainly Texas Tech fans.
We agree with it. And here's the thing too, Kyle. It's not like it was, oh, we're going to, like, this brings up stuff from Iowa from 15 years ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago. This is all recent. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like a lot has changed in society in the last 3-4 years in which that's happened. And now we have a complete 180 and nonsense. Speaking of which, one guy who is all over it when it comes to this story is Scott Docterman of The Athletic. And while we're chatting, Scott texted me. He's going to be on the show tomorrow morning. So a little tease ahead. We have gotten Kyle's rant, and now we'll get information from Doc tomorrow on where it goes too, because there's talks of boycotting Texas Tech, maybe even the entire conference. It's fascinating. It's wild. Like, and this is kind of maybe apples and oranges, but I'm on social media earlier this morning and I saw and I'm not making fun of Hy-Vee wherever, but they were celebrating that you can get gas for $3.99 all day today. And it's like, I thought of this is kind of morbid, but a little bit, but like, I'm like, if my dad was alive today and all of a sudden like looked at that and said like $3.99 per gallon and they're celebrating it, like, and that's the way it is with this. If my dad was all of a sudden alive today and I said, Dad, some guy bet on football and now he's going to play, like, he'd be like, you can bet on football and the players did it. Like, it's crazy how things have changed so quickly in the world of college sports, and hopefully hopefully Doc can make it make sense, but I don't think Doc will. I think he'll help us, but I think your sentiments, Kyle, are the sentiments of a lot of people, the majority of people, when it comes to college sports as well. So,
Tom and I said we are hoping because the whatever, and they said the NCAA cannot bar him from practicing, playing games, whatever. It says nothing about the college football playoff committee just saying, "Oh yeah, I know you went 12-1, but you don't get in." You know, we've decided that you're not going to be in.
That's true. Here's the. I said to Tyler yesterday. I said, "Well, isn't Texas Tech supposed to be the adults?" And he laughed because are they that bad at the quarterback position that they'd rather put up with this than and is he that good? Like, I know he's a good quarterback, but is he that good?
He's good. Certainly, obviously, losing your starting quarterback that you brought in to potentially lead you to the playoff again would be very hurtful at this time because you can't add anybody now. Yep. Obviously, I think more has to do with Texas Tech just doesn't care anymore.
Yeah,
I think it's very clear that they have the money. Like we saw what they did with their softball team. All those additions were not completely legal additions. There's tampering going on there. So I think we've passed the point where Texas Tech, Sorsby's good. Sorsby's good, but I think we've just passed the point where Texas Tech just doesn't care anymore. I just watching what Cody Campbell's tweeting. They do not care a single bit anymore about anything, and it's very clear seeing some of their fans stuff on social media that they don't care either.
Yeah.
So I don't think it has to do as much with how good Sorsby is or what situation they'd be in. I just don't think they care anymore.
Brought Kyle on to talk about Iowa women and baseball. We got the good stuff at the very end with the Texas Tech drama. Kyle, I appreciate it. Cakert's going on some fancy vacation. Like, you get to do those kind of things?
I will in July. I have a little bit. I have something planned, so I'll do something. But the next big event is golfing next week.
I was going to say that's, you need to focus on the task at hand. Get to the range right now. Get a couple buckets of balls in, and we'll see you here in 10 days. I appreciate you, Kyle.
Thanks for having me on.
That is Kyle Huesmann from the Hawkeye Report, talking a lot of everything, which is there's so much going on, even here in June when it comes to Iowa athletics, and the baseball program stuff is fascinating. 30 bombs in 65 games. I'm not a mathematician, but that's really, really good. So, well, if you need stuff from Iowa athletics, make sure you're following Kyle on social media. Also, make sure you're locked into the Hawkeye Report, the best in the business when it comes to that kind of stuff. We got a lot more to get to. Coming up after the break, we will chat with a Rock Falls product that is now coaching at the biggest of levels, the highest of levels, I guess, when it comes to college basketball. We'll chat with KJ Conklin straight ahead right here on OTA. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high, each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfathers is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with. Welcome back to Off Day with Matt Randazzo here on a Wednesday in the Quad Cities. Wednesday, June 10th. A fun show so far. Thank you to Kyle Huesmann once again for joining us to chat a little Iowa athletics, Carver Hawkeye floor, this Horsby stuff. Really excited. Tomorrow on the show, we'll have Scott Docterman on the show to talk all about the crazy ride it's been with Brendan Sorsby and actually playing and where we could go from here and all of that tomorrow with Scott Docterman. Excited to be able to bring that to you guys tomorrow as well. Up next, we've been really lucky because we've had a lot of great basketball talent here in the Quad City area. And when I say the Quad City area, I include like a viewing area for myself. Like Sterling Rock Falls is in that, Burlington up to Galena out to West Liberty. That big circle is, and the Quad Cities, this area has done a really good job when it comes to developing and producing basketball players at a high level. They're doing that in the same way when it comes to coaching as well, including a young man from Rock Falls who's now got a dream job at Duke University. So joining us now to talk all about a coaching journey that has led him to Durham, North Carolina, and to Duke University is KJ Conklin. KJ, thank you for doing this. I appreciate you.
Matt, I really appreciate your time and having me on.
A Rock Falls guy, born and raised and graduated from Rock Falls. You're now an assistant coach at Duke. You're wearing that logo, and I've worn that logo as like an 8th grader on a cool jacket or something, but I've never worn it like you are. What's it mean to be at Duke University and be on staff with the Blue Devils?
Yeah, it's a dream come true. I'm incredibly appreciative. First of all, I'd be remiss to not mention I'm a huge person of faith. So, this has been all God, and I'm thankful to Him for this opportunity and the path He's put me on. His ways are always greater. His plan is always greater. And then to Coach Shire and the players here, I mean, this is a true family. And I think a lot of people get caught up in like, oh, it's the brand. You're going there for that. You're going there for national TV. No, this is, the brotherhood is real. You're here for the standard, to contribute to that standard, to contribute to the family, and to ultimately to serve our players and our staff and the great family we have here. So, it's, I'd say heaven's the best place, but to me, this is the second best place. It's been incredible here, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity.
KJ, you look at it, and the coaching profession is a crazy business. It's a wild business. There's ups, there's downs. What led you to Duke? How did Duke happen for you?
Yeah, it's been an incredible journey. I would say, it really takes a village for something like this. And there's been so many people. I tried to, even before the news came out, I tried to call as many people as possible to thank them for everything they've done for me on this path and to get me here. And there's some roots in Sterling, Rock Falls, Rock Island, Quad City area that played a huge part in me being here. But I'd say path-wise, I knew pretty early. I didn't play my senior year of high school, and I knew I wanted to serve others, and I love basketball, and I had some opportunities come up where I got to train a girl in my area, and I loved it. And then from there I was like, maybe I want to coach. And then I got set up through actually Coach Sigel, who's in Rock Island. He got me a student assistant job at Illinois State. I did that for 4 years. I had a gap year where I was trying to get a GA job, didn't get one. I was at Sterling High School as an assistant coach, and I was a middle school teacher. That was in 2017-18. And then connected with Jordan Delp and started doing some player development stuff. And it was, incredible learning from him. And through him, I met Joe Bearer, and through him, I was able to connect with Drew Hanlon. I did a couple of summer internships with Pure Sweat Basketball with all the NBA guys. Joe actually connected me with the ops guy at Louisiana Tech, and I became a graduate assistant at Louisiana Tech in 2018 through 2020. 2020 COVID hits, and not a lot of jobs, as you'd imagine. I take a JUCO job in Southern Illinois. Had a great year at Only Central. After Only Central, I did a year in JUCO at Independence, which is where they filmed Last Chance U football before I got there. And then University of Texas called me, and I went there, and it was grateful to work for Coach Beard for a couple months, and he promoted me pretty quick. I was director of player development there for 2 years. I was with the San Antonio Spurs and the Austin Spurs the last 2 years, and then Coach Shire called, and the rest is history. So it's been a crazy path at different levels, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, so much I want to dissect with that, but I want to stay with Duke. Coach Shire called. I mean, Coach Shire doesn't call me. How did that relationship form, start? Maybe he will put in a good word for me now that you got my number.
Yeah.
But how does that relationship develop? And that's, I mean, I think in the coaching world, you'd agree a lot of it is based on relationships and networking and those types of things. Where did that relationship kind of start? It wasn't just a cold call, I'm assuming.
Yeah. Coach Shire is a very close circle, and he's an incredible leader, and he has tremendous instincts as a leader on people. And we had one person that was common within our circles, his circle and my circle, and he had interviewed, I think, for a while for this job, and that guy recommended me. And then Coach Shire had a couple other connections of people that I had worked for or worked with. He called those people, and the whole story is really funny. I had a bad sinus infection. I'm like fighting for my life, and my guy calls me and he's like, "Hey, would you want to be an assistant at Duke next year? Would you be interested in that?" And I said, I was like, "Duke where?" Like I couldn't even like collect what he was saying. And he's like, "No, like the Duke." And I was like, yeah, I'd love that actually. And Coach and I talked the next day, and it was a great talk. I thought obviously I left feeling really good about him and his leadership and his character. And it was a pretty quick process. It only took probably 6-7 days, and we got it done.
I love it. KJ Conklin joining us on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. I want to go back to so that's the recent stuff. You brought up a lot of fun names, and you mentioned you knew early you wanted to coach. I tell people I told my own kids, I love sports, and I couldn't keep playing them because it wasn't good enough. And then I enjoyed talking about them. I wanted to be around them. I wanted to, I never worked a day in my life because I was covering a basketball game or a soccer, whatever it may be. Is that similar with you? And I'm not saying you weren't good enough, because I'm the one saying isn't good enough. But when did you realize that you just wanted to be around the game of basketball, and this was the best way to do it, and you loved coaching as well?
Yeah, I think I was kind of at a crossroads going into my senior year, and I could have continued playing and played AAU some that summer. There was something about those initial workouts that I had that summer where I was like, this is like, it feels like a calling. It feels like something I should be doing to serve others. And I love the game. Maybe I could get really good at this, and I could ultimately increase the value I can provide for others in two ways. One, I love to serve. One, I love basketball. So, I would say I felt that pull effect rather than that push effect. I felt it pulling me towards it, and I didn't resist that.
That's awesome. You mentioned Coach Sigel. I joked with him because Colton, as you probably know, is at Illinois now. So I've told him already that the student has surpassed the teacher, and obviously the student here has surpassed the teacher as well. What has he meant? Obviously a Rock Falls guy, came to Rock Island, won another state championship here. Those guys are important when it comes to the Tom Sigels. You mentioned Ryan Weber before we started as well. What were the guys here in the Quad Cities and in this area? I involve Sterling, Rock Falls in this area as well. What were they like for you as somebody that wanted to get going and obviously pretty eager to get going in the coaching profession as well?
Of course. Before I highlight Coach Sigel here, I think about Jordan Delp. I think about Joe Bear. I think about Ryan Vasquez, who I worked for a year at Sterling. Him and I remain very close to this day. I talked to him on the phone today. I think about Coach Winters, who I played for at Rock Falls, who's in the Rockford area now. So many that have had this like incredible mark on my life and my career. Coach Sigel, I always admire so much. He won the 99 state championship at Rock Falls, and he built something that the program just wasn't in a great place before. And I always admired that story so much. I admired his calm collectedness, how he coached, how he led, how he went somewhere else, a program that had history and tradition, and then won one there. Just the way he conducted himself on the sideline. But I'll never forget, Matt, it was the Thanksgiving of 2017. I was at Sterling High School, and we went to the Rock Island Thanksgiving tournament, and we played them the first game. And our football team was, I think, still in the playoffs or had just lost. So we had a couple guys, but a couple sat out. They beat us bad. I remember he spoke to our team after the game, congratulated our guys on a great football season. And the day after Thanksgiving, I text Coach and I asked, could I get on the phone with you at some point? He's like, yeah, call me tonight. And we talked on the phone for an hour and a half. And, it was all about program building, culture, his coaching philosophy, so many things. I'm sitting there taking notes. I have so much respect for Coach. And I just really appreciated that he made that kind of time for me. He didn't have to, and it was a weekend that's supposed to be full of family and, fellowship with family. But he's always made time for me. He helped me get the Illinois State student assistant job. Played a huge part in that. His brother Todd, I'm very close with. It was actually his daughter that I would work out for all those years. So their family is like my family, and I love Coach. I love all those guys that I mentioned, but I've always been super appreciative of him.
I got to circle back around to Jordan Delt because I say with and I think Chase and Randall's in the Quad Cities this week, and talking with him, and you think of the Ethan Haps, and it goes on and on. Quads, and Jordan hates this, so he'll hate this part of the interview, Jordan. But Jordan is so tied with and associated with Quad City basketball and the good that's come from it. I guess we think players. We think Chase and Randall and Ethan Happ and those guys. It's affected coaches as well. That's a guy that was an influence on you in a big-time way.
No, I mean, I think about Tom, I think about Joe, I think about Jordan, and those guys in the Quad City areas are like the godfathers of Quad City basketball. Like now 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, that their impact is so huge, and they left a mark on me as a coach. And obviously all the players, I'm walking in with Jordan into workouts, and, we have I think it was Joe Huesmann. We had, or was it Huesmann? He played at Iowa.
Wieskamp,
sorry.
Yeah.
Wieskamp, yeah. And then we had Ethan Happ. You can name countless guys, DJ Carton, so many guys that you're in the gym with, and even women's basketball in the area, all the players that he had worked with. His mark goes beyond just the players. It's the coaches in the area, and the same goes for Coach Sigel, for Coach Vasquez, for Joe. No, it's amazing, and they've always taught me to pay it forward, so I try to do that as best as I can.
KJ Conklin joining us right now and Off There with Matt Randazzo. KJ, you look at it, and there's different styles of basketball, obviously, and you talked about the skill development, which you worked a lot with. What do you love the most about coaching? Is it the X's and O's? Is it the in-game stuff? Is it the player development? The drills? What's your passion maybe when it comes to the game of coaching, inside coaching, if that makes any sense?
Yeah, I think one of the things that really pulled me towards this opportunity to leave the San Antonio Spurs was Coach Shire talks so much about building meaningful relationships and just what the brotherhood represents. And to me, that's what it's all about. Like, the goal here and wherever you go is to hang banners, and it's to get guys to the NBA and pull them along, help them grow as young men, ultimately into men and great husbands, great fathers. But I think the meaningful relationships is what we're always going to remember. It's those memories, and it just goes back to, people always remember how you made them feel. And if you can combine that human side and the relationship side with, doing something at a high level, skill development, I think you get the best out of people. So I just have a genuine passion of being on the floor with guys, learning as much as I can, because the more I learn, the more value I can provide for them. But if I were to give you one pinpoint answer, it's to be a good person every day for our guys and to build strong relationships with them.
KJ, you look at the Quad Cities. We've talked about the coaches that are here. You've been gone a little bit, but you keep an eye on what's going on here, I'm sure. This area in general, and you mentioned some of the guys we both have when it comes to the DJ Cartons and Joe Eastcamps and the guys that have come from here, Chase and Randalls. What have you seen from this area when it comes to the development? I think that the Quad City area and into Sterling go back to Joseph Bertrand in the Sterling area as far back as that.
Yeah.
I think there's really good basketball and it continues to get better and better. Do you see that when it comes to this area, when it comes to the how good players are getting each and every year?
Absolutely. I think there's tremendous growth. I see even in my small area, between Dixon, Sterling, and Rock Falls, the growth of AAU programs and club programs and the interest in that has been awesome. The Western Big Six is one of the best leagues, best conferences in all of Illinois. I mean, it's a highly respected league. I think Jordan has played certainly a huge role in that and the growth of the Quad City area in basketball, along with all those other names. But I think about that area, and again, like you said, the growth and the growth and interest and how competitive games are, the pride from a fan base, the rivalries, the gyms, walk into Sterling Fieldhouse on a Friday night, man, there's magic. It's like being at the high school in a Hinkle. Go to that rich tradition high school, the Rock Island Fieldhouse. I mean, there's a passion there for a reason, and you have the venues, you have the tradition, you have all these great programs that clash. I love going back and going to high school games and just seeing the competitive nature that those games possess.
Now you got me thinking other questions because I'm a basketball junkie. You're going to get to coach at Cameron Indoor Stadium. That's pretty darn good. Do you have a favorite gym from this area? You mentioned Musgrove. Wharton Fieldhouse. You go from one, we have some amazing stages for basketball, if that makes any sense, in our area. Are there a few that you're going to be at one of the best in college basketball. Do you have some favorites from back home?
Yeah, I love Musgrove. Part of it is I love the field house and the brick and the big American flag back there. And plus my best memories are there. I love the memories there. I love, obviously, Tabor and Rock Falls, going out as a high school player and a varsity guy to the final countdown, which Coach Sigel obviously started in the 90s, is, it makes the hairs on your neck stand up. It's funny, before I took this job, I had never been in Cameron before. Wow. And I walked in the other day for the first time, and I was a huge Duke fan growing up. So, this is even more of a dream. But when we walked in the other day, I remember Coach Krzyzewski always used to say, Cameron lives. The place is alive. And you walk in and you feel it. There's no one in there and you can feel it. And I had so many days when I worked at Sterling High School. I was at Musgrove, I felt that same way. It's just it's a special gym. So I would rank that one.
Man, I'm getting chills thinking about walking into Cameron Indoor for the first time. KJ, has there been and there's not in coaching, there's not a blueprint, there's not a plan. It's not like you sat down when you were 17 years old and said, okay, I want to go coach at this JUCO during a pandemic, and then I want to go to here. Yeah. Is there a plan, an ultimate goal? Did you ever sit down and say, I want to be the head coach of in the NBA? And you've been in professional basketball as well. So I'll ask you that as well. Coaching college, being in the pros, you're back in college probably for a reason. What was the big difference between those two, and obviously back to college for a reason?
Yeah, a month before Coach Shire called, I was back in Dixon, and I was with one of my best friends at a coffee shop, and we were going to our other best friend's son's first birthday party. And he asked me, he said, would you ever leave the Spurs with what's on the horizon? And I said, yeah, if Duke called, I would. And,
no way.
I swear it was,
From your mouth to God's ears, right?
I swear, man, it was nuts. I don't think that there is an end goal and an end vision. I ultimately obviously want to be a head coach, whether that's Division I or NBA at some point, but it's so much advice I have for young individuals. You don't have to have it all figured out in your mid-20s. Continue to just get better, every day and serve the people in front of you. And when I mean, the director of performance for the Detroit Pistons is a close friend of mine, and his staple is when you're good at what you do and you do it for the right reasons, everything else takes care of itself. So for me, being here, and I felt the same way with the Spurs, I can be very selective about, what that end goal is, but I'm just excited for today and to put together edits for our guys tonight and to just get ready for summer workouts and continue to serve the people in front of me. And I'm going to learn a lot from our players, and I'm going to learn a lot from our great staff here. And, we'll see where the road takes me, but the uncertainty is part of the fun.
A few more for KJ Conklin before I let him get on to his busy day at Duke University. Coach, you look at it, and college basketball, I think on product or on the floor product is maybe as good as it's ever been, because players are sticking around and they're not going pro as early, and there's some veteran really good basketball. I thought the March Madness was awesome. Obviously, there's the detractors to some of the NIL stuff and everything else that's going on. Where are you at with college basketball? Do you feel like the game's in a good spot? Healthy, strong? I think the on-court product is really good right now. What's it like being involved in college basketball with the unknowns that we come across every single day?
Of course, I can't speak on the landscape because I'm not informed enough about it.
Sure.
What I can tell you is there are certain trade-offs, and within those trade-offs, there's benefits for the current landscape and how it is. And one of them is the game is pushing more towards an NBA model where guys are getting the best coaches and the best development in front of them. And from that, it's helping their careers, short and long term.
Sure.
I think that's certainly a benefit, and I think there's other benefits. I look forward in these coming months to getting more informed on the current landscape and how I can be an asset in that, an asset at Duke, and an asset for our players, and helping them navigate the day-to-days of it. But I think, there's a lot of pessimism behind it. And, I think back to reading Coach Krzyzewski's book, Beyond Basketball. He picked a letter, a word for every letter. And the first word was adaptability. And we adaptable. As coaches, in order to serve our players best, we have to adapt year to year. And that's the thing, is Coach Shire is always trying to evolve. And that was a thing for me. He has a growth mindset, and I want to be around a leader that's like that and follow in his footsteps. And that's something that we got to do with the landscape, and we got to do X's and O's, and we got to do player development. We got to do in every facet, and I'm excited to be a part of that.
KJ, a few fun questions before we let you go. When you're back home in the Sterling Rock Falls area, where's the place you have to go? Places you have to go. I'm a foodie. It's probably not good for my waistline, but I'm a foodie. I love to go eat. Is there places when you get back home? You mentioned a month ago you were back in Dixon or around that area. Are there some places that are home for you when it comes to food?
Oh, absolutely. I try to eat extremely healthy, but when I'm home, that's all off limits. I'm actually flying home this weekend, and I'm sure my cholesterol is going to take a massive rise, but I do a lot of candlelight, and Matt Prescott is a dear friend. He helped a ton with the Chris Herron project when I was a senior in high school. By a ton, I mean a ton. Incredible person and a great giver in the community. He opened up one in Sterling now called Artisan. So go there a lot. Love that. Love Arthur's. I mean, always get that. Get Kelly's, which is very interesting. It's an Irish pub, but they have Mexican food there, and the Mexican food is awesome.
We went there. We had a basketball tournament at Newman, and somebody said, "Go." I said, "We want some Mexican." They said, "Go to Kelly's," and I said, "No, I said Mexican food." And we went. It was really good. Go on. I completely agree. Go on.
High level, man. High level. And then Angelo's. So, always got to get Angelo's, get the spaghetti pizza. So it's a lot of stops, but you have to make every stop and make enough time to make every stop while you're home.
If you're coaching and I take basketball away, I say basketball doesn't exist anymore, but you got to be a coach. What are you coaching?
Great question. I feel like I'd do golf so I could play every day. That's what I would do.
Smart man. I like you
Yeah.
become good if you do it every day. I don't know that, but I've heard that's the thing. So,
No doubt.
KJ, if you become a head coach, all right, and you get to fill out your staff, and it's with people from your past, you get four spots for your staff, and they're in their prime. It's not old Tom Sigel. It's not the old crusty guy now. It's like the young, vibrant Tom Sigel getting technicals and calling fist out every other play.
Yeah.
Give me your staff. I'm going to let you make your own staff. 4 people. Who would it be? Anybody.
I got 4 people. Yeah, I would. Eric Conkle. I had him. Our head coach at Louisiana Tech. He's the head coach at Tulsa now. Just a true growth mindset person. Tremendous in recruiting. Learned a ton from him. I'd have Delp as my PD guy. Coach Sigel for X's and O's, and I would go with Ryan Vasquez because he's a junkie, and I need a junkie on staff, a basketball junkie on staff. So.
He will be thrilled that you got added, Coach. He's probably watching this, so Coach, you got added to the list. It's money, Coach, right? You're probably an upgrade from coaching in the Western Big Six. KJ, I've really enjoyed this. The Quad City, it's crazy because news came out that you got added to the Duke staff, and my phone blew up, and I was like, this is pretty cool. So there's a lot of people here that are extremely proud of what you're doing. Know that we're proud of you. Keep doing good things, and don't eat too much when you're back home this weekend, okay?
I'm gonna have a hard time with that, man. But I'll just say to those people back home and all the support, it takes a village, and to everyone there, 4 years ago to the day and 5 years ago to the day I was unemployed.
Wow.
So like there's. Persistence is a big thing in it, but I've had so many people that have marked my life and my career, and I'm thankful to them. I'm thankful to all those that are supporting me, and just know, I'll never forget where I came from, and I'm always representing my hometown and that area.
We love that. We're thankful you gave us some time. Thanks, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.
Matt, thanks a ton. Appreciate your time.
That is KJ Conklin, assistant coach at Duke University. Pretty cool title, and we can't wait to see what he does this year and, of course, in the future as well. We got a lot more to get to. You're watching OTA. It's a Wednesday right here in the Quad Cities. We'll be right back. For over 65 years, Lindquist Ford has proudly served the Quad Cities, and they're just getting started. Looking for a new ride? Check out a healthy mix of new and quality pre-owned vehicles ready for you. Need service? Skip the waiting room. With free pickup and delivery and mobile service, they come to you. No delays, no hassle. From routine maintenance to a full-service collision repair shop, it's fast, friendly, reliable, and always transparent. Lindquist Ford, serving the Quad Cities since 1959. Experience the difference today.
This summer, light the fuse on something bigger than fireworks. It's red, white, and you at the John Deere Classic. July 1st through 5th with world-class golf and 4th of July energy you can feel. Wednesday is Youth Day and kids 15 and under get in free with a paid adult. After golf, concerts on the course rocks the weekend. Carrie Underwood, headlines and All-American 4th of July celebration. And Old Dominion closes out Sunday. Stars, stripes, summer tradition. Get tickets now before they're gone at johndeereclassic.com.
Hey, I'm the Crawford guy.
Ooh, do you guys always speak at the same time?
Sorry, guys. I'll go first. If you need help with your heating or air conditioning,
Or electrical.
or plumbing, Crawford Company can solve your problem.
But what about your problem?
What problem?
Do you not hear yourselves? Take it from me, the Crawford lady.
And me, the Crawford guy.
Crawford is the comfort company.
Welcome back to Off Day with Matt Randazzo here on a Wednesday in the Quad Cities. Yes, I have my cheaters on, my readers on. I have to read something on my computer here for you guys. And in order to do that, I got to be able to see. It just happened. I think I complained about this about a month ago, but I have contacts. I can see. I've always had contacts for as long as I can remember. And just like maybe a month or two ago, I started looking at my phone going like, I can't I can't really like see my phone. So yes, I have the cheaters, and it means I'm getting old, and that's something I'm trying to embrace one small step at a time. But yeah, I don't know if it's going over very well. But anyways, it is time for our FCA Story of the Week. It comes to you each and every Wednesday, courtesy of Dan Pearson from the FCA. And most people have a cancer connection, personally or through their relationships. It finds its way into the daily routine, including the sports world. FCA's Dan Pearson introduces us to a young cancer survivor who's thriving as he plays ball down in Peoria. Take a look.
1, 2, 3, TCC. Sprint, let's go.
He doesn't mind carrying the added gear, the added weight at all as he strides to his catcher position for the Christian Center 13U Red Team.
I just like the situations it puts you in. You get like so much pressure.
Let's go, Kaser.
Kaser Holloway knows all about pressure.
I think it's kind of like lucky that I still am able to play baseball and healthy. But yeah, it makes me like more thankful that I'm just here.
He is safe at home on a baseball diamond as a cancer survivor. A diagnosis at age 2. Cancer in his kidney and lungs.
There's still not a day that goes by that I'm not grateful that Kaser is living, but also thriving. Here we go, bud.
That amazing comeback to recovery includes surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy, and plenty of road trips, overnights in the hospital. Strong support as a St. Jude family is part of the winning game plan.
I think it like makes me thankful that I'm just here and every time I can play.
Hey, relax, kid, come on.
Coaches and teammates love their teammate who took a hit in life.
The little things that bother the rest of us roll right off that kid. Like, it's unbelievable. If something doesn't go his way in a game, he is literally rolls on to the next play, which is what we preach to all of these boys.
Let's go, Rig. Oh, yeah, let's go here, Rig.
On Rig.
Not everyone can overcome something like that, but it's just crazy how Kaser is here doing what he's doing. Really good batter, pretty good first baseman. He can pitch, he can catch, can pretty much do everything.
Now, baseball is not life, but there certainly is symmetry between the two. Kaser Holloway agrees as he embraces the teamwork that has gone into his journey.
I'm just so grateful that they've just stayed faithful to me and everyone that has. I'm just very thankful for it.
Game Changer may track all that happens from the first to last innings, but it can't measure the eternal impact the Kaser versus cancer journey is having on all the players in his life.
There was nothing I could do. I mean, just pray. That's the best thing I could do, and that's the only thing I could do. I couldn't fix it, but the good Lord did, and he performed some miracles, and we just saw so many things that God did through this journey with Kaser's cancer. So.
Someone came to us the first week he was diagnosed and said, you know, you love your kids, but once he gets through this and survives this, you will love your kids in a way that not everyone gets an opportunity to.
Kaser Holloway hopes a constant in the coming years is baseball. His appreciation and love is a constant every day.
I'm just so thankful that everyone cares for me and knows that I'm here and has walked through with prayer.
With the FCA Story of the Week, I'm Dan Pearson.
Awesome story. Thanks, Dan, for that. Of course, you can check out your FCA Story of the Week right here every Wednesday on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. You can also check it out on Sundays and Tuesdays on WQAD as well. We thank Dan Pearson for that story, and obviously everyone is touched by cancer. To see that young man surviving and thriving and beating cancer and doing great things on the baseball diamond. Really, really a beautiful thing to see. We got one more time out. And we will be back to wrap up this show and then also look ahead to the rest of the week. That and much more in about 2 minutes. Stay right there.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Update with Matt Randazzo here on a Wednesday, June 10th. Everyone be safe out there today, whether you're in Iowa, Illinois, wherever you're watching the show at, especially here in the Quad Cities. Weather is supposed to get a little funky tonight, tomorrow, storms, all that stuff. Plus, it's hot, so just everybody be safe. That's my public service announcement for OTA here on a Wednesday. I want to thank our guests, Kyle Huesmann on Talking Iowa Athletics. KJ Conklin was a ton of fun. If you missed that interview, go check it out. From playing and being a student at Rock Falls, and it wasn't yesterday. 2012 is when he graduated, to his journey throughout college basketball and coaching, and now being at Duke University, his dream school, his dream job, is really cool. So go check out that interview, and also thank you to Dan Pearson for our FCA Story of the Week. Coming up tomorrow on the show, Scott Docterman will be along. We'll talk about the craziness that is the Brendan Sorsby saga, and a bunch more. Football's coming up soon. Nobody's more locked into college football. Iowa, Illinois, and Iowa State. Just college football in general than Scott Docterman. So excited to have Doc on the show tomorrow. We're going to do a little Illinois segment tomorrow as well. I don't know if it's going to be Mike Cagley or if it's going to be Jim Matson or exactly what we're going to do. But we're going to do something Illinois-wise, I think, tomorrow as well. And more. And then on Friday, we have Alex Taney coming on the show. That's right, everybody. I'm planning on working a full week. It's been a little bit since I've done a full week, but I'm going to do a full week because next weekend is the Guy Randazzo Memorial Golf Outing, so there will be no show on Friday, and maybe not Thursday because I got a lot to get to, but we'll talk about that next week. But a lot more to get to this week, and we mentioned the Guy Randazzo Memorial Golf Outing, as we said earlier in the show, 1, maybe 2 spots available. So if you're interested, that means we got 34 teams at least, maybe 35. So come join us. A bunch of familiar faces. Journey Houston will be there. Cooper Koch, Tate Sage, a bunch of basketball players. Pat Angerer, Tom Kakert, high school coaches galore. James Zahara, Shelby Kluver, I think Cuff. I got to check, make sure Cuff's golfing, but I'm pretty sure Cuff is as well. Jay Kidwell is going to play this year. Yeah, we just got that confirmed recently. So if you're looking for a great time of golf and some familiar faces and a lot of fun, I promise it's a ton of fun. And Snoops. Snoops caters it, and you get chips and salsa out on the course. So GuyRandazzoGolf.com. Do it right now. Get the last spot and come join us for a great day of golf in about 10 days, I think it is, if my math is correct, which means I got to get out of here because I got to run around. I got a list from my siblings who we do the outing together, but I do all the work. Anyways, we got a list about that big of things. No, Lisa does a lot. My sister Lisa is really good at doing a lot. So, Larry? I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to get in trouble. So thanks for watching. Get signed up for the Guy Randazzo if you can, and we'll be back with a brand new episode of OTA coming up tomorrow. We'll see you then.